Michael Schumacher went out on the wet weather full spec Goodyear tyre, the last year's version. He was a second faster than everybody else at that particular time. As it dried, Jean Alesi came to the top of the grid sheets. However, the feeling is, David, if it rains, people like David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen are most worried about Michael Schumacher's performance.
And well, they might be after some of his performances last year. So Michael Schumacher very quick in the full wet. At the moment, it does not look as if it's going to be wet for the race, although it's very overcast. Jacques Villeneuve there in 6th spot, not having a great day again. Mika Salo, of course, in the arrows, jumping right up to 7th. Coulthard down to 8th. Barrichello still looking quite good in the Stewart there. Vert's dropping back a little bit. Jarno Trulli hanging in there with the second one of the Prosts.
And they say sometimes the rain is a great equalizer. Well, there are 3 different tyre versions here. Bridgestone has their wet. Goodyear has a new V pattern wet that Jacques Villeneuve prefers. However, the older version, which is the Aquatro, I think it's called, is what Michael Schumacher prefers. So, final preparations are being made. It is grey, it is overcast, it is very humid. However, as of this moment, everybody is on slick tyres, but it could be spectacular as this race gets underway. We'll be back.
His superiority within a team, he scores an important victory. He has the psychological edge over his teammate. He knows it, and the other driver knows it too. So far this year, McLaren's Mika Hakkinen has had that advantage over his teammate, David Coulthard. David knows that if he can't beat Mika today, the McLaren team will view Mika Hakkinen as their #1 driver. The other teams feel the Hakkinen-Coulthard edge, and they know the McLaren juggernaut must be stopped. The season has barely begun, but already Ferrari, Williams, Benetton, and the rest are far behind and trying desperately to catch up. Strides have been made, and today McLaren's rivals will be debuting new ideas and new equipment. But McLaren has not stood still. Mika Hakkinen has the edge, and he needs to keep it. The Grand Prix of Argentina is next. Hello and welcome to the Grand Prix of Argentina. I'm Sam Posey along with Derek Daly and David Hobbs. And David, let's get right to the Toyota Motorsports storylines.
Well, we've got some pretty interesting ones, of course. The new Goodyears really did show their mettle yesterday afternoon. Tremendous performances from a lot of the Goodyear shod cars. So hopefully this is going
off the last slow corner as people peel off into the pit lane. So if you want to make 3 pit stops, it's not that big a disadvantage. Also, pit strategy, McLaren, in the first 2 races, could do pretty much whatever they wanted because they had such a big advantage. Now, today, they better call the pit strategy much more accurately because there's so many close pursuers.
And of course, the other thing is, can David Coulthard step up and take a victory off here, because he did a magnificent job yesterday afternoon in qualifying. But as we said earlier on at the beginning of the show, he really has got his work cut out. He's got to assert himself over Mika Hakkinen, or it'll all be over for David Coulthard before the season's out.
And the new look of F1 cars, the new ugly look of F1 cars, when you see these things with these periscope extra wings, I hope you will agree that these cars are not the nicest design of Formula 1 cars we've ever seen.
David, take us through the drivers' points as they stand after 2 races.
Well, as they stand after 2 races, it's pretty disappointing for everybody else. There you see Mika Hakkinen on 20, David Coulthard 12, Frentzen with 6, Michael Schumacher with 4. Of course, he scored no points in that first race in Australia, which was a terrible disappointment to him. Eddie Irvine there with 3, Alexander Verts for Benetton with 3 after that great show a couple of weeks ago in Brazil. Villeneuve, our current world champion, there in 7th spot with just 2 points. And Johnny Herbert and Gerhard. There you see the constructor points. McLaren Mercedes with a huge lead, 32 points over Williams, Mecachrome with only 8, Ferrari with only 7. So these teams have got an awful lot of catching up to do, with those McLaren Mercedes coming first, second in those first 2 races, give them an awful leap up the ladder.
And David Coulthard is on record as saying, I have to win in Argentina if he's begin to get the team rolling along his side. And if he does, McLaren Mercedes, of course, are going to continue to build on that all-important constructor points, which to Frank Williams, as most of you know, is more important than the Drivers' Championship. Let's have a little look at the previous winners. Of course, Jacques Villeneuve last year, Damon Hill, 2 in a row. What an enjoyable season that was for him, or 2 seasons, with the Williams Renault at full tilt. Nelson Piquet, of course, world champion. Alan Jones, world champion. Lafitte was a surprise winner in that Ligier back in 1979. But look at the names here. Famous names.
World champion in 1978. Jody Scheckter, Fittipaldi, of course, and Denny Hulme, who we all miss so much.
And Jackie Stewart back in 1972. We'll be back for the start. We're just going to take a quick break, get a few of them out of the way before racing starts. But yesterday was spectacular, and today promises to be just as good. We'll be back. Speed Vision's coverage of the Grand Prix of Argentina live, as every race will be this year live right here on Speed Vision. Yesterday was quite spectacular on a track, David, that really is very, very bumpy and very changed since the long circuit of years ago.
There you see the BMW track map, and as you can see, there's an awful lot of corners in 2.6 miles. 17, in fact, if you take into account a couple of those quick sweeps. A lot of medium and slow corners. They use second gear here 3 or 4 times. It's a very, very low grip circuit. Whatever it is they made the track of, the asphalt is low grip, and it's also very bumpy. And there's really only one overtaking spot here, and that is down at curve 1. It's a difficult technical track for these guys to get a hold of. We saw an awful lot of wheels locking up yesterday.
And wait till you see how lively and exciting these Formula One cars look on this particular track here with the new, wider Goodyear front tires. Let's take a quick look at the Porsche starting grid, and on the pole you will see the man who wanted it so badly in the McLaren, teammate to Mika Häkkinen, David Coulthard, pulls it off in spectacular fashion, and Michael Schumacher had a big grin on his face at the press conference yesterday.
He did on row 2 for the first time this season, not on the front row, and in Friday's press conference, Mika Häkkinen said it will take a little miracle to catch us. Maybe they are. Alongside him on the second row, moving up the grid 2 spots per race, is Eddie Irvine.
And Ralf Schumacher, despite a small mistake, qualifies on row 3 beside Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is again quicker than Jacques Villeneuve in every session.
In fact, Jacques Villeneuve, who was 27 on Friday, was having difficulty finding a setup, and alongside him, in only his 6th Formula One start, again out-qualifying his teammate is Alexander Wirtz.
Next row, not a happy man. Damon Hill, not happy, the 96 world champion. Fisichella has done a good job all weekend, not spectacular, not off the racetrack.
In 11th spot for the best grid position of the year so far is John Alesi, 8/10 of a quicker than his teammate Johnny Herbert, and he was also fastest this morning in the warm-up, alongside Johnny Herbert, who was slowest in the warm-up this morning.
Look at this here, Tora Takagi does such a good job, the fastest Ford-powered car beside the factory Ford-powered car of Jackie Stewart with Rubens Barrichello.
Olivier Panis in 15th spot, still having gearbox trouble haunting the team this year, and Jarno Trulli probably would have out-qualified Panis, but he wound up in the gravel.
Next back, teammates again on the same row. One of the most innovative cars, however, largely untested, Denitz and Mika Salo.
Then on row 10 we have Shinji Nakano and Esteban Tuero, who we have said is the 3rd youngest ever Formula One driver.
And Jan Magnussen has been about the slowest driver here all weekend, struggling in the Stewart. Okay, now can David Coulthard pull off a good start? Finally, he has been very poor in the first 2 races. Michael Schumacher needs to get ahead of David Coulthard to control the situation. Eddie Irvine has been spectacular all weekend here.
And this is one of the most important first corners in the season.
So hang on.
Brilliant start by Coulthard. Häkkinen made a great start too.
Terrible start by Ralf Schumacher, but a picture-perfect one for David Coulthard. Michael Schumacher is 3rd, and Frentzen slides down the inside Eddie Irvine. These cars are spectacular in the opening laps before these tires get warm. Look at them move around under braking.
Oh, look at him over that bump.
Look at the dirt on the racetrack. John Alesi went from 11th on the grid all the way up to P7.
There he is. There's Johnny Herbert, his teammate, 2 spots behind him.
corners, David mentioned earlier. Mika Häkkinen fights the steering wheel. Look at David Coulthard already. He has been the fastest man in every session here that counted, other than the wet sessions.
Schumacher really giving Mika Häkkinen a good run for his money now. Boy, Schumacher must be regretting that poor start. Mika Häkkinen making a great start from the second row. Tries to go down the inside. It's going to be tough for him to get around Häkkinen. Oh, and he goes along. Wow.
Yikes. Michael Schumacher, who was so good in the early laps. Mika Häkkinen defensive line down the inside.
Michael Schumacher, of course, like Jimmy Clark, who we missed so much 30 years ago. Again, a brilliant flyer on those opening laps, always able to just give it his most right from the drop of the flag. Coulthard, of course, unworried at the moment by anybody, so he's having an absolutely wonderful run. Just can't believe his luck looking in the mirror and seeing what's going on behind him.
Frentzen is fourth.
A near-perfect situation for David Coulthard following his fantastic start, because now his teammate is holding up the man. Here he goes.
He passes him. Michael Schumacher pulls it off, exiting one of the tight second-gear corners. That was a superb move by Michael Schumacher.
Anticipation. He scienced it out.
Boy, oh boy, what a pass. And as Sam said earlier on, it's going to take a brave man to pass anywhere but turn one.
Look at this, look at this, look at this.
Eddie Irvine on the inside, the outside.
Oh, he's got him.
Eddie Irvine sees what Michael Schumacher does, and he forces the issue with Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Frentzen had to give up. He was forced to give up there.
And now Frentzen's coming under incredible pressure from his own teammate and John Alesi, who's snuck up there.
Schumacher passes Häkkinen and sets off after Coulthard. Look at Villeneuve. Villeneuve and Frentzen, here we go. Turn one. That looked easy.
But Frentzen's coming back.
Look at this. Fight among yourselves, boys, and the Ferraris pull away. Villeneuve comes to life, has been off the pace most of the weekend, and Jean Alesi's right behind them.
John Alesi about to make a move any minute, I would think. Pulling away well from Mika Häkkinen and catching up with David Coulthard, just somewhat. Here comes John Alesi.
It is risky going down the inside of people here. You better be pretty sure of who you race with. Look how fast these Formula One cars change direction.
Alesi was quickest, remember, in morning warm-up. He made that brilliant start from 11th to 7th, as Derek pointed out, and now he's on the move again. Fastest man in the midfield.
Schumacher gets it sideways under power and kicks in the oversteer. 770 horsepower is what Mercedes-Benz say they have in what people believe to be the most powerful engine in Formula One. But Michael Schumacher is closing in. Well, he was closing in. He's certainly pulling away from Mika Häkkinen. David, strange that Mika has been off the pace here all weekend.
It is most odd. He has been off the pace big time compared to his own teammate and, of course, compared to Schumacher. And now he looks like he's going to come under pressure from Eddie Irvine. Eddie Irvine's gradually winding Mika Häkkinen in.
Eddie Irvine has been fast all weekend here. He likes this racetrack. He likes the Ferrari. He thinks it's a bloody good car, which is a quote when he tested it first. Remember what happened last year? He almost won here. But here's the fight. Schumacher is trying to run down David Coulthard, running away from Mika Häkkinen.
Michael Schumacher's just turned the fastest lap of the race at the 1:29, so there's another 4 seconds to be found yet to get down to their qualifying times. But there you see that great overhead shot. Very technical circuit. There's a tremendous amount of corners. The drivers are in a corner practically the whole time as Schumacher picks up time on the brakes there. Losing out there on acceleration, it looks like. Of course, the Mercedes engine, we're pretty sure, is the most powerful out there.
Oh, look at this. He is closing in. Goodyear tires brought a new, wider front. It is 1 inch wider, and all these cars seem to have responded well. The cars are faster. They are closer to the Bridgestone tire cars than ever before this year. This looks good. This is good stuff right here.
Both McLarens on Bridgestone, both Ferraris in the attack position on the soft compound Goodyears. And look at the crowd. They are loving this.
I should think they are.
1.5 seconds Michael Schumacher gained in just that one lap. He was more than 2 seconds behind at the end of the last lap. And he is catching David Coulthard. Now, we don't know what the fuel loads are of these cars. Look at this here, and Lacey forces the issue on Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
Boy, and does a magnificent job in doing it too. So Jean Lacey now is going to pull away from Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Is he going to be able to catch up with Eddie Irvine?
P6 for Jean Lacey, but here's where the focus is. The comfort zone, he gets it sideways.
Oh.
He gets it sideways. Oh, they're going to hit. They touched. Coulthard's off the road.
Coulthard got knocked around there by Schumacher, who got inside him. And I mean, the fact was, he opened the door, he let him in. Is there any damage to the wing? Can't see any.
He made a slight mistake, got it sideways as he turned to the apex. Michael Schumacher saw the door open, and away he pounced. Is his car damaged? I don't see it.
I don't see it. I mean, David Coulthard tried to shut the door, but I mean, you can't shut the door when the guy's already in it. If you're going to shut it, you've got to shut it sooner. He didn't. Here he goes. He's inside him. He's legitimately inside him.
Oh! There is body damage on some car. It is the McLaren, I believe.
Somebody's lost a bit of wing there.
I believe the McLaren may be nipping into the pits. Is this shades of Jerez? I would say definitely not. A completely legit move by
absolutely
Schumacher.
legit. No question about it. He was there. David Coulthard had let him in there and tried to shut the door on him when he was already alongside him. Too late.
Now Michael Schumacher has clear road. And the thing he's most worried about is, as the stints get longer and longer, will the Goodyear tire hold up? So he needs to build up as big a cushion as he can before these pit stops start. David Coulthard, P6.
And Derek, is his car damaged in any way?
Here it is again. Michael Schumacher, you see the bodywork breaks off the McLaren. He lifts it off the ground with wheel-to-wheel contact. David, I don't think David Coulthard should have tried to close the door too late there.
I mean, he was right in there. He let him get alongside him, and it was all kind of too late. But of course, with Michael Schumacher with having that Jerez incident hanging over his head, let's just hope the legislative bodies regard that in the same way that we do, that it was just a racing accident. And if anybody's fault, really, you have to say it was David Coulthard.
Do you think there might be damage to that left front wheel?
Yeah, that left front suspension could be
a big hit.
Well, the suspension could be bent, which of course could put all sorts of loads onto that tyre, and of course could lead to undue tyre wear as the race progresses.
If you think you're seeing a lot of negative camber on that wheel, that's the way the car was set up to qualify, though. That's okay.
Mika Häkkinen now begins to think World Championship mode because he just needs to gather more points. Where is David Coulthard? How far behind is he? There he is right there. Will this be the start of a spectacular run by David Coulthard, P6?
I think missing that bodywork is going to slow him down. It must compromise his car, I would think. Jean Lacey now going to have a good crack at Villeneuve.
He passed Frentzen, closing in on Jacques Villeneuve. Well, how quickly things change. The first two races, McLarens were nowhere in sight. As soon as they took off, they disappeared from everybody else. And now it's a battle. Now it's a real race.
This is a tremendous look at Ralf Schumacher back there in 13th spot. He must be just kicking himself. He had qualified so well. He was up there in 5th spot. Now he's back in 13th. But of course, a sigh of relief for his teammate Damon Hill, who's been looking pretty shabby most of the year, I regret to say.
The pit stop strategy may play a big role here, but look at this. Look at the fastest laps here. Eddie Irvine is running faster than Mika Häkkinen, but he's being held up. Jean Lacey is doing a spectacular job here early in the event.
Look at that, Schumacher 6.5 seconds ahead of Häkkinen already.
After two races in which the McLarens had things totally their way, actually lapping the field in the last race, it seems incredible that Ferrari has vaulted back as this quickly, and I think it's almost all put down to the tires.
Schumacher is pulling away from Mika Häkkinen. at least half a second a lap, so there doesn't seem to be any apparent damage to Michael Schumacher's car. He didn't actually hit him very hard. What David Coulthard's car, he rolled over Michael Schumacher's left front wheel, so perhaps Schumacher did, David, get away unscathed. Look at this, Alesi gets it wrong.
You see those, what they call the twin towers, the new wings on the Sauber car? They call them the twin towers. Interestingly, the sponsor is Petronas, and I think they got that name from the twin towers, the new buildings that Petronas built in Kuala Lumpur, that are the tallest buildings in the world at 1,482 feet. They've picked up on that idea for their car. We call them periscopes.
We call them ugly.
Ugly. Ugly, ugly Formula One cars.
Exciting to watch.
Michael Schumacher's fastest laps there, somewhat quicker than David Coulthard. David Coulthard running without traffic at the moment there. You see David Coulthard going down the inside of Jean Alesi, but he couldn't pull it off.
And that tells me that Coulthard is considerably faster than John Alesi, but it is so tight and twisty here, it is difficult to pass. And Coulthard must be gun-shy now, having got his nose chopped already so early in this event. Villeneuve. Frank Williams is a bit frustrated because his drivers don't seem to be able to get this Williams on the pace that Frank is used to running at.
Well, of course, the story comes up then. Is it Adrian Newey leaving them that's left them technically bereft, or is it in fact the fact that two drivers, Villeneuve and Frentzen, aren't just quite up to the standard of some of these other drivers? And of course, it's one of those things you never know until you change something drastic, either a driver or an engineer.
Let me speculate for just a moment, you guys. What if, in fact, the Mercedes extension of their contract with McLaren brings Schumacher, a German, into the fold? That means that Coulthard or Hakkinen must go. Today is devastating for Coulthard's hopes to stay, right? He had the pole, couldn't withstand the pressure from Schumacher, blew it, and is now bottled up in traffic.
A mental test. A mental test every day for David Coulthard. He's under pressure. Ron Dennis's favorite son is Mika Hakkinen. And you're right, David Coulthard blew it. I'm sorry, you do it right or you blow it. And end of story.
David Coulthard would certainly be the one who was dropped for Schumacher. And of course, if you imagine those first two races, and even this one, where on earth would Schumacher have been if he had been driving one of those McLarens?
Alesi looks good. Fastest in the warm-up, even though it was wet. Benefited from 3 days testing, two of them private just for himself. But look at the cars move around here on the bumps.
Looks like a live animal.
This is the new section. The new section introduced to shorten this racetrack. Look at David. DC locks up that left front.
Villeneuve definitely taking defensive lines in that Williams to try to stave off Alesi, and of course Alesi has to try to stave off Coulthard. So that group, while providing exciting racing, is falling back from second place.
Jean Alesi, of course, having to have eyes in the back of his head at this stage, trying to gauge where David Coulthard is, and at the same time keeping a very close look at Villeneuve.
Did you see the green button? Did you see the green button on that McLaren steering wheel? We still don't know what it is. Coulthard may be faster, but he's not all over the back of Alesi.
But he's lost part of his barge board, hasn't he? He lost a big part of his bodywork there, and that's got to compromise the performance of his car or the cooling.
Those barge boards, of course, are the vertical boards along the side of the car, just behind the front wheels, and they do a lot to direct the air into the radiators.
And I think he's lost a big chunk of his right side barge board. We don't get much of a look at the right side of the car, but I think that's what's missing. Just look at that Williams car of Villeneuve, just snaky all over the place, just going down the straight.
Michael Schumacher just did 3 laps in a row, and they are all within 1/10 of a second of each other. He is that good, he is that consistent, and he is trying to build up this cushion so as the pit stop strategy does not go against... Oh, he gets it sideways. Whoa, that is the same corner that David Coulthard got it sideways. So that is a fight on Michael Schumacher's hands also.
Oh. He's got what you call fast hands.
It just shows you that the new technical regulations have handed these guys very tricky cars to drive and, of course, spectacular to watch.
In the braking zone, a driver at this caliper in a car, David, as lively as these, you almost react instinctively because you can't think fast enough to save a car when it jumps away in the braking zone like that.
Absolutely, you're dead right. I mean, the whole thing is instinct.
It's closer to what driving in the rain used to be. Let's look at it again. Whoa, he was way out of shape.
That happens in a millisecond.
That happens to the bottom half of the field, and they do a 360, and they're off on the gravel track.
There's the laps by Schumacher. 3 in a row, all within 1/10 of a second of each other, building a cushion. What will happen in the pit stops? Last year's winner made 3 pit stops. Last year's second-place runner made 2 pit stops. Last year's third-place runner only made 1. So there's a good choice here as David Coulthard gets it wrong again.
I think he was trying to have a go at Lacey when we picked up the video there.
Around the outside?
I think so, don't you?
Looked like David Coulthard just missed the turn-in point for the apex. That was John Lacey's car you saw on the left-hand side there. So David Coulthard has a real street fight on his hands.
None of the positions down the field are changing. Ralf Schumacher's still back in 13th, so obviously somewhat processional at the moment, because as we keep on saying, this is such a difficult... Whoa! Look at the tyre marks on the road!
Lax streaks.
Or groove streak, too. It leaves the groove on the road.
Well, Schumacher is one of the very few drivers that really loves oversteer, and these new front tires with all their grip have given him oversteer. I think he's just as happy as he can be out there.
As long as he doesn't burn those rear tires off, he probably loves it. Look at the gap between him now and second spot.
Well, what a big change. Race 3 of the FIA Formula One World Championship. And Michael Schumacher is in control in a Ferrari 12 seconds ahead of Mika Häkkinen. We will be right back. Vision's live coverage of the Grand Prix of Argentina. We are watching the local hotshot here, Esteban Tuero, 19 years old, almost 20. His birthday will be very soon. Of course, the cameras would cover him because the local director probably knows his dad and his mother and his family, and they're all probably sitting in the grandstands waving their hats.
But he's also 5 seconds a lap slower than Michael Schumacher, we just saw from the graph there.
The Minardi team, of course, one of the low-budget teams. They cannot afford to test. They were thrown off the aeroplane on the way back from Australia because there was too much other equipment on there, so they were delayed back to the workshop, getting the cars rebuilt. But Minardi, gone through many owners in the past 10 years and still hang on to be part of this superstar stage of Formula One.
Esteban Tuero obviously is not a bad little driver. He had a job to get his super license because he had so little experience. So for a man with so little experience, he is getting that Minardi around here pretty well. Obviously, it has nothing like the technical attributes and nothing like the power of the lead cars. But he is actually doing a pretty good job.
And believe it or not, Minardi, you see how much slower that car is than Coulthard and the Mercedes. The Mercedes, incidentally, has been the fastest car down the straight here consistently all weekend long. But look at this here, Michael Schumacher. The D-Spec engine, which is more powerful, is in both cars this weekend, Schumacher's and Eddie Irvine's. Schumacher was the only driver that used it in Brazil. It is reliable, and the drivers say it is more powerful to the point where they can actually feel it. And David, that's unusual because normally such a small power gain, the driver really can't tell.
He really can't tell, but apparently it's much more drivable. It certainly looked like it was going to be reliable because he had the D-Spec engine in Brazil when he obviously finished second. So let's hope that third. Oh, big cloud of smoke there from somebody.
You can see in the braking zones, again, the car moves around. That was actually a flat-out right-hander.
Climbing out of a hole in the ground there. Good shot, that, as it comes up over that little hill.
Big changes in this team this year. For the first time in 4 years, they build the complete car in Italy. Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne are down there now. Of course, one of the big things they said they had to change, apart from the design of the car, is the attitude. Oh, gets it sideways again. He leaves black rubber streaks every time he exits that corner. But what Ross Brawn and Pedro Diniz is in trouble in the arrows. Gearbox trouble has plagued this team all season long. But the Italian attitude needed to be changed to more of a European, or David, an English attitude, which really has been probably more organised and more successful and less emotional, which is good for Formula One.
Well, of course, he's got Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne there, who built his Formula One World Championship winning Benetton, back in 1994 and 5. And obviously, the team has gelled so well together. Jean Todt, who is the overall team manager, is also tremendously well equipped for this particular job. This is a tremendous race here between Villeneuve, Alesi and David Coulthard, but it just shows you how difficult overtaking is here. And of course the only guy so far to have done a successful overtaking is Michael Schumacher, who's got past 2 of those McLarens.
Good scrap here. Good scrap here. Top 6. 3 of them all in the line here. Villeneuve trying to hang on. Jean Alesi looks to be faster. Jean Alesi prone to making kamikaze runs down the inside. Villeneuve will be aware of that. Villeneuve very seldom ever moves over. Very seldom.
Obviously, pit stop strategy is going to play a huge part in this race, and of course nobody is privy to that strategy before the race starts, but it is going to be interesting to see if Michael Schumacher is in fact running a light load of fuel, which is why his car is so quick, and the McLarens have got enough fuel on board to just have 1 stop, and the McLarens and the Ferraris are going to have 2 or 3. Unfortunately, it's something we can't help you with. We just don't know. But we'll obviously see it unfold as the afternoon progresses.
Coulthard head down. The chase continues. The frustration probably still there. Cannot afford another mistake.
On the other hand, Coulthard cannot afford to hang around behind these other 2 cars either. With a car that's demonstrably faster, he's got to find a way to force his way by.
And this, of course, raises that age-old question all the time. If that was Michael Schumacher driving David Coulthard's car, would he be able to find a way by these guys? And the answer, unfortunately, for David Coulthard is probably he would.
Now, let's just introduce the gamble factor here. Does Michael Schumacher have to make a 2-stop race out of this? Can McLaren make a 1-stop race out of this? That will suddenly put the ball back into Mika Häkkinen's court, who may be on a heavy fuel load here, and that might be why he's not that spectacular in chase of Michael Schumacher at this particular time. Mika, sometimes when the World Championship, when your year comes around, things happen to go your way. David Coulthard has been faster all weekend. Perhaps things go his way because Coulthard makes it easy.
That pit stop strategy is going to play a big part in this afternoon's race. As we saw last year, 3 different strategies produced pretty good results for 3 different teams. But I think that maybe Häkkinen and Coulthard have got some full tanks on there and are aiming for a 1-stop.
Eddie Irvine in chase. Irvine was spectacular during qualifying. Locked wheels, got it sideways, shook his fist, and finally put P4 on the starting grid with 1 magic lap towards the end of the session.
And of course he had a good run here last year, finishing what, 3rd last year?
Second
last year.
Great day for Ferrari. Their drivers making dramatic passes, both of them on the same lap. Schumacher to take the lead. That gap is going up the same way the McLaren was able to pull away in the last couple of races. It's an astonishing turnabout.
It is absolutely extraordinary. And Häkkinen at the moment is pulling slightly away from Eddie Irvine, isn't he? Eddie Irvine was right with him, and now he's dropped back to about 6 seconds behind him.
And Villeneuve is having a great day compared to Heinz-Harald Frentzen. It's the first time this season that Villeneuve has emerged superior to his teammate.
And here's something that'll make you think. Mika Häkkinen, as we go on board with Eddie Irvine. Häkkinen just set fastest lap of the race. Oh, Ralphie. Now there's the most unusual sight. Ralf Schumacher off the road.
You know what they say in the paddock? What's the difference between God and Ralf Schumacher? God knows he's not Ralf Schumacher.
Guerrero moves over, sees the former world champion come down the inside, moves over nicely. The two Minardi's running in tandem. Uh-oh. That's Paul Stewart on the left side there with the tartan pants. Paul Stewart, older son of Jackie. Jan Magnussen's car gets wheeled away. Again, another disaster weekend for Jan Magnussen. Here's Ralph.
Oh, good spin there. Nice tyre marks all over the road.
The other Stewart with Barrichello was right ahead of him.
I mean, there is no doubt that Ralf Schumacher has an enormous amount of talent as he moves over and lets his brother through. He has an enormous amount of talent as Ralf Schumacher. He's only 22 years old, but he just doesn't have the discipline, and people really wonder, does he have the mental control and emotional control that his brother obviously has?
Interestingly, though, Derek, he was out-qualified 10-7 by Fisichella, his teammate last year. He's getting the better of Hill this year, Ralph is, but I'm not sure that he's quite as fast as he'd like to have you think.
Mika Hakkinen on the move here. He's reduced the gap between himself and Schumacher. That may have been a traffic-related gap. Hakkinen is now going to get by the same people that Schumacher got through, but he did close the gap a little bit, and he opened the gap a little bit to Eddie Irvine.
Well, Ralph brings her in. Complete set of new boots. Gary Anderson is the designer of the car. That was him that walked over to see was there any damage on that car. He's obviously said no and sends him back out again.
Gap coming down again, another 0.6 of a second on that one lap. So Hakkinen now putting his head down.
Mika, this may suggest a heavy fuel load beginning to burn off as Rosset and the Tyrrell now needs to move over and let Eddie Irvine pass through. Salo, Mika, another Mika. Just not a good start of the season for Tom Walkinshaw's Arrows team. Precious little testing with that team because the car was built so late. Eddie Irvine threw the thing off the road in the warm-up, had a spin, fairly harmless. There have been so many cars here, David, this weekend have spun and been off the road in the gravel trap, in the grass, time and time again. And measure how difficult these cars are to control on this particular racetrack.
Well, it could be that this low grip. Whoa! There you see that front right tyre locking up, big black spot on it. That low grip circuit caused so much of that yesterday afternoon, a lot of spins. Maybe it should be, he's gone wide again. Now maybe his front tyres are going up.
Two mistakes in two corners, unusual for the world champion. Remember, he has to push really, really hard if he is on a two-stop strategy because he knows Mika Hakkinen is flying at the moment and he probably suspects Mika Hakkinen has a lot of fuel for a one-stop race. Look at this here, David.
Now, are these Goodyear tyres going off? They've only got the one compound here. It's a soft compound. Big flat spot on that tyre.
Oh, ho, ho, Mikey, you got to be careful because if you put a flat spot on that decides the issue for you. There's so much vibration in the steering, you have to go to the pits.
And he has not got enough cushion between himself and Hakkinen yet to afford the luxury of a stop and still come out in the lead, unlike the McLarens. Here we go for past David Coulthard, lining himself up there with a Lacey, but just couldn't pull it off.
Coulthard is right behind him. He looks faster. He ducks and dives. But you better have your package completely lined up, David, before you try and spring something on Jean Alesi. Great scrap here. Great fight here. Villeneuve, Alesi and Coulthard. On board with DC.
Pity we didn't stay there a bit longer, really.
Just don't get enough onboard camera stuff in the race. Uphill. Lots of elevation changes here at Autodromo Oscar Galvez. You might wonder why it's not called after the famous Juan Manuel Fangio. Galvez was a local, very popular driver, friend of Fangio, but Autodromo Oscar Galvez is the official name.
Ooh, lap traffic now in front of Villeneuve. Ricardo was set. This is going to cause a bit of consternation amongst the faster guys. They're going to really pack up behind him.
Here's the reason why Tyrrell is not in the pit lane. Because they chose Rosset over Verstappen, who incidentally tested the Benetton at Silverstone last week. He can become their test driver if he brings 800 grand. Yes, 800 grand to become a test driver. This is tough stuff here, David. This is hard to pass. You hope for a mistake by somebody else. Drivers of this caliber make very few mistakes. Villeneuve does not make many under pressure. Whoa, Michael answers back. Michael answers back with a fastest lap that is 0.4 of a second faster than the lap just put in by Mika Häkkinen. So Schumacher gets his act together.
Just 50 laps to go, so we must be getting into that window for 2 stops. Getting close anyway.
He's about to come up on Tora Takagi. Boy, he was impressive again here. Fastest Ford-powered car. An unknown that came to Formula One and really is putting on a good display. Through the S's. So much grip on these cars. They change direction almost violently.
Oh, it's incredible. They look like speeded up video half the time to me. Whoa, got a little bit out of shape there.
These things are all over the place and have been all weekend.
But of course, this new wide tyre.
Have a look here at this slow-mo, David. Now watch the patch that he burned. You can see it there. But Michael Schumacher just toasts the rubber on the right front. He won't get away with too much of that.
He does that, Derek, and yet he then sets a fastest lap 0.4 of a second faster than anything he managed to do so far. So it can't be hurting him as much as you'd think a flat spot of that magnitude would. Frentzen, incidentally, is back of that Villeneuve.
Ooh!
He poked his nose down and he wasn't sure about Takagi.
That'll take some time away from him.
He doesn't know Takagi. He doesn't know his style. He doesn't know whether he can trust him or not. He is losing precious time here. Schumacher losing precious time.
Yeah, Takagi there just going everywhere that Schumacher went, Takagi went. So that really took away probably a second and a half or more.
Hang on there, Tora, because here's a lesson. Here's a lesson from the world champion. Hang on as best you can.
The gap's gone up, so Häkkinen's having more trouble with the traffic than Michael Schumacher. But Häkkinen's still pulling away from Eddie Irvine.
So the Ferrari is reliable so far. 7-speed longitudinal gearbox this year. 7 gears because the power band is narrow. Whoa! Ralphie!
Ralph
Now there's another unusual sight. Wow. Ralph Schumacher off the road again. I think he had heavy contact. Did he hit something hard?
I'd say he hit the barrier very hard. Don't forget to put the steering wheel back on.
Mika, fastest lap. It's now 11.2 seconds. So Mika Häkkinen trading fastest laps as Ralf Schumacher does another pirouette. Does he hit the barrier? I think he does. Because he bounces back on the racetrack. No, just come back on there. He thinks something broke. He jumped out of the car immediately and went back to the left rear tire as if something broke. And the Jordan car broke a left rear suspension this morning in the warm-up. So perhaps they've just broken another one. It looked like Ralf Schumacher did break a suspension.
It certainly moved very, very quickly, didn't it?
McLaren boys all took a holiday after Brazil. No testing. Everybody else went testing throughout Europe. And McLaren said no. They wanted to give everybody a rest. This was One of the cars that was finished latest of all was Ralf Schumacher gets instructions from somebody.
During that period, Mika Hakkinen went to Uruguay and had a look around.
Watch the gap. It was 11.2. Mika having just set fastest lap. Schumacher responds.
11 seconds, of course, is not enough to stop and retain the lead.
We have just gone into our pit stop window if you make 2 stops. So if Schumacher is on a 2-stop strategy, he has now just gone into that window.
To tell you what kind of situation Schumacher has within the team, Eddie Irvine, his teammate, is prevented from winning a race in which Schumacher is lying second. How about that for a contract?
He better not make it blatant, or the old FIA will bring a big hammer down upon his head.
Frentzen is behind this group about 8 seconds back and making no impression on this battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
So the Williams not on the pace. Frank more worried about the engine horsepower than anything else. Will change to BMW in the year 2000. And David, then we're going to have Mercedes-Benz and BMW head-to-head because, of course, that extension of the 5-year contract with McLaren.
And there's a very strong possibility that we'll have Honda back in Formula One by then too, so a massive confrontation between 3 of the major manufacturers in the world.
And Honda continue to say that they are more interested in building their own engine and their own car because they believe if they're successful, they do not want the team to begin to get more of the accolades than the actual engine manufacturer.
That is going to be an extremely tough assignment. 26 laps in, so as you say, right into that window for 2-stop strategy.
What a struggle for David Coulthard. And Lacey watches his mirrors that time. Whoa.
This is Villeneuve at his very best, I would say, aggressive, giving not an inch to a pair of drivers who have every reason to be able to get by.
The McLaren team are watching Michael Schumacher to see if he peels off to the pit lane. Stays out.
Remember, there's nobody faster in and out of the pits than Michael Schumacher. So when he goes in, watch carefully, because you will see a maestro at work.
Only 4 cars out of the race.
Both arrows, of course, Salo and Denise.
Probably with gearbox troubles. Eddie Irvine. No, it's Michael. It is Michael.
If Michael does go to McLaren, how about Alex Zanardi as his replacement at Ferrari?
Another man who we saw last week can do a tremendous amount of overtaking in extremely difficult circumstances.
Lacey is the first one to peel off. He is on a 2-stop strategy. David Coulthard now perhaps can get by Jacques Villeneuve or at least make a good attack on him. Whoa, he ran over a hose. He's lucky he didn't drag that thing down the pit lane with him. Now, the telltale signs will come very shortly. Will Michael Schumacher, does he believe the tires are gone off enough to make a pit stop? This is where it happens. Yes, he's in. He is in. Mika Hakkinen will now take the lead because lap 28, Michael Schumacher peels off. 2 stops for him and many for McLaren. .5, not their fastest.
Not a great stop for a 2-stop strategy.
A big load of fuel gone in there, but did you see the carbon fiber brake dust They came off and they took the wheels off. Look at this, Schumacher, that's Takagi. Tora Takagi. He doesn't need to be behind him again. What's the hose here on the left?
Notice that he tears off one of the wings with that hose.
Ooh.
Well, there's the disadvantage of having the twin towers.
Now he doesn't have a twin tower anymore.
Thank God for that. Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard. Are they on a one-stop strategy? Damon Hill comes in. 9.2. Almost the same as Schumacher.
But he blew the exit, didn't he? He lost
did.
another 2 or 3 tenths.
He sat there for a while when the fueler took the hose out. Boy, that is harem-scarum time when these F1 cars go down that pit lane. There are so many people in the pit lane. There's the grooves on those new regulation tires. Despite the grooves and the narrow car, the pole time here was still only 1.4 seconds slower than last year. Eddie Irvine. Eddie Irvine down the pit lane. A lot of dissension against Ferrari this weekend because of this ongoing battle of protests that they initiate against McLaren. Wow. Villeneuve and Coulthard, look at this here. Looks like Formula Ford. So Coulthard obviously scrambled his way past Villeneuve, and Villeneuve now gets it back.
Boy, oh boy.
That's the battle for 4.
David, the old Mechachrome engine didn't look too shabby against the Mercedes down the straight that time.
It didn't, did it? No. And of course, the reason these two are battling is because John Alesi made that stop. And of course, that got him away from this battle. So the thing is, in fact, are these two on a one-stop strategy?
Jacques Villeneuve hanging on. That's 2 Aero right ahead of him. Look at this here, David. Wheel to wheel, and David Coulthard concedes right here.
Hasn't got much option, has he?
Villeneuve on the tighter inside line. Look at Coulthard right around the outside. This is a good fight here, a good fight. Stay out. They both stay out. Now, watch the grab. Michael Schumacher still second. Fresh tires. Can he run down Mika Hakkinen? Frentzen and Villeneuve have not stopped. Old Jacques had a poor Friday, flew off the road, mixed up the gears, pulling every lever and every button inside the car, destroyed the gear shift mechanism. Frank wasn't that impressed, missed a lot of the session, and never got to set his car up as he liked, and Frentzen again was faster.
Notice that Wirtz is once again outpacing Fisichella. Not by much, they're running close together.
Coulthard faster there.
Yeah, much quicker through that little S, isn't he?
Faster on the brake and the turn to the apex. It's normal to close up under braking, but the speed with which he turns to the apex is more, it's higher than the Williams. There's the answer right there. Here's the answer right there. He is almost half a second a lap faster when he's by himself. He needs to get by. Sees the two boys coming. 4th place is in his mirror. It's actually third place now. Good job. Good job.
Gives them plenty of room there.
Let the fight continue. Eddie Irvine, you saw him in the red Ferrari just behind them.
Michael Schumacher with his new tyres, not making up much ground on Mika Hakkinen.
Hakkinen leading his fifth consecutive Grand Prix. He's won 3 in a row.
Hakkinen was 0.7 of a second faster on the last lap. So the lighter fuel load that Hakkinen has, making him now a little bit faster.
Can the Ferrari, of course, do 41 laps on the fuel they put in just then?
So Mika Hakkinen again sets another fastest lap of the race. And Michael Schumacher is in chase. We'll be right back. We are live in Argentina, and this just happened. David Coulthard makes a tactical decision. He just went half a second a lap faster than Jacques Villeneuve, so the decision was made. If he's behind him and stuck, bring him into the pits. Tactical move by McLaren. Eddie Irvine now has clear road to try and run down Jacques Villeneuve. Frentzen is all by himself. Alexander Wurz right behind him. Fisichella right behind him. And that, I believe, is David Coulthard. Is that David Coulthard? Is that Tierra? Frentzen had an embarrassing crash here on Friday. Ran right smack into the back of a Minardi. Did enough damage for Patrick Head to have to hand carry spare parts on the plane from London to arrive here on Friday night.
Wurz putting Frentzen under a lot of pressure here, and Wurz would like to get around him because Fisichella, his teammate, is coming right up behind him.
Coulthard is back out in 10th with that car that, of course, is still slightly damaged. There's Wurz.
Still just 4 cars out.
Wurz is on his way to inheriting that mantle of great Austrians. Grint, Lauda, Berger. You notice the way there's always one great Austrian driver at a time, never two.
So neither of these, in fact, all 3 cars have not stopped.
No, none of these guys have stopped.
So maybe they've decided on a one-stop strategy.
And of course, Wurz and Fisichella are also on Bridgestone tyres.
Whoa, look at this. Here's a fight. This could be a fight very shortly. Alexander Wurz did this to a Williams in Brazil. Same thing. Came down the inside. He looks stronger, David. He is faster.
Same engine, of course, the Mechachrome. Which, of course, is a Renault.
Speculation, gentlemen, do you think that Coulthard changed his strategy, perhaps going for a 2-stop where he planned a 1 because he was being held up so bad?
Absolutely. Mika, 1 stop. We think.
Well, it certainly looks like it now, doesn't it?
Familiar territory here for the McLaren.
And for Bridgestone, whose tires hold up very, very well over the long runs.
And Michael Schumacher is in fact losing ground to Mika Hakkinen. He's lost another couple of seconds. He's now over 12 seconds behind. So he's got brand new tyres, but of course he's also full of fuel.
This is a very close race.
One of the big advantages this team enjoys is they have another team that can work for them. McLaren cars, of course, have built the BMW engine McLaren sports car. They are building parts for this car at the moment because there's some downtime. Rumour has it they may build a Mercedes sports car in the future, but McLaren Cars, a separate company, also employed to build cars, which makes them react very quickly in the event of a redesign. third time this year.
Damon Hill hit the hit wall in Brazil, spun 4 times here on Saturday morning, and again when he was doing very well on a qualifying lap. Not a good performance. There's going to be a lot of Damon Hill bashing, I think, as the year goes on.
Michael Schumacher has a real fight on his hands now because he knows he absolutely has to run down Mika Häkkinen or he's going to finish second at best. They both have to make at least one more pit stop. So he has got to run him down on the racetrack. He won't do it like that. There's a telltale sign, David, when you see those 28s.
A study of Frenzen's times, we're told he is slowing down. He's holding up Wirtz and Fisichella. He's holding up the Benetton twins.
The old Minardi boys are all mixed up here. They don't know which tire to put on which part of the front.
Mixed up, aren't they?
No right front wheel yet.
Oh.
This is another reason you do not want to drive for Minardi.
Look at this.
Uh-oh.
Tire warmer on the left and no tire. I mean, look at this.
This is really grim.
This is the difference between the low budget teams and the superstar teams.
But a low budget shouldn't make you, I mean...
Very embarrassing for the Minardi team to have a globally watched pit stop that bad.
Ugh. Kind of takes the starch out of you if you're out there on the track trying to save hundredths of a second, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely kind of does take the starch out of you.
That's the way Ferrari used to make their pit stops. They were that lackadaisical. Boy, no more.
Look at the dust again, the carbon fiber dust. P3 for Villeneuve when he peeled off. .4, 3 seconds slower than Michael Schumacher, but remember, he put more fuel in. If this is a one-stop strategy, we may see the McLarens pretty soon.
I think we can be confident it is a one-stop.
Here's some entertainment. Alesi and Herbert right in front of Jacques Villeneuve and right behind David Coulthard. So the Coulthard strategy move to go into the pits and get out ahead of Villeneuve has worked. He's now ahead of him and can pull away if his car is faster, which we believe it is. Certainly on the last set of tires it was. Lap 38 and the Williams comes in, which means the Benettons may soon be down the pit lane. At least one of them, Alexander Wirtz. Fisichella's already been in. I don't think he has the speed, unless something changes, David.
He's losing
Schumacher
ground.
is just about a couple of tenths off the pace as Frentzen peels in. Jackman at the front, ready to run. It's hydraulic. Uh-oh. Stalls it. Disaster. Stalls it again.
No, I don't think he's stalled. I don't think he's getting the gear, is he? I think it's running, but he's got no drive. Oh, no.
End of the challenge. End of the Williams challenge. That's it. His day is over. From here on in, it's just testing and photographs. He's lapped. Yikes, what do we got here? Alesi and Herbert in a scramble for position. That looked like Nakano Remember, Jean Alesi lost one of the Twin Towers exiting the pits the last time.
I think there might be something come of that, because it was one of the other team's hoses dangling down that he ran into on the way out, and I'm not sure that that hose was where it should have been.
Look at that thing move around. Look at it. Left, right, left, right. Vicious.
Wow.
Boys, look
By
at
the
this
way,
here.
that shot is confusing. It makes it look as if the cars ahead are on the same part of the track. That's because this track has 8 or 10 different configurations.
So Alexander Wurz does the fastest lap, 28.1.
What a frustration for Frentzen right behind Schumacher here. 39 seconds. Stationary in the pits. Now, McLaren have to have a good stop. Schumacher could make up time sometime when McLaren make their pit stop with the leader.
Fuel even flows more slowly in the minority pits. The force of gravity is less with that car.
Barrichello and the Stewart right ahead of Mika Hakkinen. Truly brings it down. This car still suffers so badly from a poor gearbox design. And redesigned, the internals have been changed many times, but they say until they get back to Europe, much like the Arrows team, they just cannot get this car to be better. Alexander Wurz is in.
Good stop there by Trulli.
And this has to be good, because he's in a battle with Jacques Villeneuve.
Excellent stop. 3 seconds faster than Villeneuve's, Derek.
Now, where is Villeneuve on the racetrack?
Villeneuve, a master like Schumacher, getting in and out fast, so
We're going to see that in just a lap or two to see where he comes out. Did he stay ahead of Villeneuve, or did he get ahead of Jacques Villeneuve?
Well, he did a typical Schumacher. He cranked out the fastest lap of the race just 1 lap before he came in. So he did that classic deal. He really made up some time, hustled, dropped into the pits, did a quick stop. So that could have put him in front of Villeneuve.
Barrichello glad to be still in this race. This car has been so unreliable. They haven't had hardly any test time in the races themselves. Another car with a revolutionary gearbox. Look at that. Hakkinen went wide there.
He did a bit, didn't he?
Not so much revolutionary gearbox on the Stewart, but carbon fiber, so definitely a big risk. So now Mika Hakkinen has had these tyres on this car longer than any other front runner by far. Haven't heard much from Herbert this afternoon. Of course, the long streak was broken. Finally, a teammate had qualified Johnny Herbert. That was a nice personal streak. There's the button on the right again. See it? Whoa!
Whoa, 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 whoa.
He's all over the place.
Front tyres have gone up, haven't they? Tyres have gone up.
Here he goes. Boy, he's even out of control. He's out of control in the pit lane. This has to be good because Michael Schumacher will probably take over the lead here, but he's got to stop again. So this has to be good for McLaren, who, David, are normally exceptional in this role. Fuel takes longer. Great stop.
Good stop, though.
Great stop for Mika Hakkinen.
what a sigh of relief for him to get some fresh tires on that car, because he had burned those others down.
Michael Schumacher is only about 3 or 4 seconds up the road. He better run for all he's worth right now if he has to make another pit stop, and which we believe he has, unless something extraordinary happens.
Well, he'll have to go about 42 laps on the fuel he put in. Did he stop long enough to put that much fuel in? I'm not sure. And of course the tyres are going to do 42 laps as well.
This has been a tough, flat-out fight from Michael Schumacher, but he just doesn't have quite the edge on speed. Now, when the Goodyear-tired cars went to Barcelona in Europe testing with this new wider front, they were about half a second a lap faster. They all need to work to maybe just get another 3 or 4 tenths back.
The thing is, when you change a tyre that much, you go an inch up, immediately the car responds, but then there's a tremendous amount of things that you can do to develop the car to make those front tyres work with the car and the whole package better. So I think there's more time to be found in these tyres as they go on, and of course the Ferrari keep maintaining that this new exhaust they're going to use at Imola will also help their lap time by, you know, between 3 and 5 tenths a lap. So a little bit of life left yet in the Ferrari dog.
Panis had a great run here last year, almost won the event, and had an engine explode.
Wirtz did emerge ahead of Villeneuve, so Wirtz is now leading Villeneuve on the road.
Hakkinen is now 9.4 seconds behind the leader, Michael Schumacher, and he needs to get by Heinz-Harald Frentzen. So the chase continues, but Schumacher has to stop again. Won't go away.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Argentina on Speed Vision. This is live. Here is the Bridgestone race reset. The current leader, Michael Schumacher. There have been 3 lead changes. David Coulthard, of course, taking the lead right off the bat and getting passed by Michael Schumacher. The cars do not really count. There's Frentzen leaving the pits. The cars that are out are not front runners. The big story, however, pit strategy. Mika Hakkinen appears to be on a 1-stop. He's just made that stop, whereas Michael Schumacher, who you see here on the right of your screen, is on a 2-stop strategy and must make his 2nd stop. So Derek Daly, a classic race in which tactics as well as speed is playing a role.
A classic race that Michael Schumacher is absolutely using all of his considerable talents.
And Heinz-Harald Frentzen there as a major front runner, made a huge sacrifice there to let him through. Not the sort of thing that Frank Williams might actually appreciate.
There's a Lacey with one of the twin towers gone. Car obviously not affected too badly by that.
He's turning left all the time. He keep on turning left. What is wrong?
Still in P4.
You would want it to turn right, of course, on this track.
Coulthard, after that early indiscretion when he lost the lead on a mistake and then contact with Michael Schumacher, still in P7.
So Fisichella and Herbert have both got around Damon Hill.
Gentlemen,
not having a good run at all.
That moment we saw Frentzen stopping, that was a 10-second stop for speed violation in the pit.
Disaster for Frentzen. He sat in the pits for 39 seconds, couldn't get the thing in gear. Now he's just made it 49 seconds plus the trip down the pit lane.
So Frank.
Lacey has gone well here, David, but it's unusual that this track needs a lot of steering input. The thing is almost out of control all the time, and Lacey, coincidentally, is good in those type of conditions.
He seems to be doing a very good job in the race, considering he's lost that wing, which probably affects the car quite a bit.
Car control is not Mr. Lacey's problem, it's emotional control. He ran into the back of his teammate Johnny Herbert on a warm-up lap, just crashed right into him under braking.
But he did apologize.
That's very comforting.
Which is not like him.
He's getting old.
And that was on the first lap of the session. They ran to each other and put them both out for about half an hour.
There's Wirtz.
Look at the dust and dirt kicked up by Rosset as he moves offline, so that Alexander Wirtz and the Benetton down the inside.
Derek Wirtz once again in the points. What a phenomenon this man is.
He is becoming more valuable as the races go on here, because this type of performance and this type of mistake-free performance is impressive.
Also, he's embarrassing Fisichella, his teammate. Fisichella was really last year's Rookie of the Year, if there was such a thing. And Wirtz is outpacing him in race after race this year.
I mean, everybody last year was raving about Fisichella, including us. I mean, he did come on the scene and did a fantastic job with the Jordan. And this year, Alexander Wirtz, this is only his 6th Grand Prix start, is showing Fisichella the way.
Now here's a frustration, the level going up for Schumacher. He has to push hard to get away from Mika Hakkinen. He's caught behind Johnny Herbert. He needs to blow by him as soon as possible. He almost needs to take risks.
Which he did.
15 seconds plus on the last lap by ahead of Hakkinen. So Michael Schumacher needs to get the welly down here. He has to make another stop.
But it's so difficult. Johnny Herbert, of course, is locked now in a battle with Damon Hill right behind him. So he did a very good job there. I mean, he lost the minimum amount of time for himself and lost Schumacher the minimum amount of time. That was a very good display of how to be overtaken. Damon Hill goes wide. He's done the nosing on his car.
I think he's hit the back of Herbert.
He ran the back of Herbert.
I think he just drove right in the back of him.
Disastrous day for the Jordan team.
Wow.
Ralf Schumacher.
Oh, Herbert's got a problem.
Yeah, so Hill did run into the back of him.
I think he's bent something.
He's obviously damaged something on Johnny
I
Herbert's
think he's bent
car.
the suspension, perhaps.
Schumacher is still in the 29s, 29.8. There's going to have to be major surgery here on Damon Hill's car. Get rid of the nose, change the wheels, tires. Meanwhile, Schumacher still 15 seconds gap ahead of Mika Hakkinen. Oh yeah, that's it.
Tired.
Johnny Herbert. Damon Hill plowed into the back of him. There's the result right there. Can't even make it back to the pits.
Whoa. Ascot, where are you?
I think he's trying to get back to the pits.
No, he's done. Is he?
I don't know what he's doing.
Eddie Irvine slides down the inside of one of the Minardis. I think that's Meccano.
Big weekend for Eddie Irvine.
Pulling away from Heinz-Harald Frentzen there.
So if things continue on here, the Constructors' Championship will look a little bit better for Ferrari. First and third as we speak. But this is where the fight is here. Look at this again.
What's that hanging up the back of his car?
Looks like the rear light has come loose on Schumacher's car. He won't need that because it doesn't look as if it's going to rain. But he has got this thing sideways, under power, so many times today, trying to pull away from Mika Hakkinen. That's the remnants of the mugging he got from Damon Hill.
David Coulthard going down the inside. Now he might find a bit of a struggle to get by Villeneuve.
So Villeneuve has been passed. Villeneuve passed him back again. Because wasn't David Coulthard ahead of Villeneuve at the pit stops? Yes, he was. There's the gap. Hakkinen safe. Safe from Eddie Irvine.
At the beginning of the race, we speculated that this was the race that David Coulthard, by his own admission, needed to win to establish some parity in the team with Hakkinen. That is not happening. Hakkinen is now the man that the McLaren team is relying upon exclusively to run down Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher had a bit of trouble with traffic there, going to that sharp infield right-hander. He's obviously having second thoughts whether to go down the inside of what looked like one of the Tyrrells, but he's obviously got by it now.
Remember
more
now,
traffic in front.
And also, Alexander Wurz is going to play a bigger role as this race goes on here. He doesn't have to stop again, and he runs consistent lap times only within a couple of tenths of Michael Schumacher. So Schumacher might have his hands full with more than just trying to catch Hakkinen.
See, he did make it back, didn't he? What? I don't know what he's doing. Whoa. Michael Schumacher really pushing that car to its extreme.
Good display here by Schumacher.
He's got one of the Prosts to get around now in front of him.
It's 18 seconds now. 18.3 is the gap between Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen.
Has Mika Hakkinen got around Williams?
He needs more, though. He needs more. He needs to be at least in the 25 to 29 second range to get in, get stopped, get fuel, and get out.
And Hakkinen is superb at staying out front and setting a hot pace. There's that moment of impact.
David, what was he thinking of?
I don't know. It still just picked it up a fraction late, didn't we? But he slid into the back of him, hit the tyre, obviously burst the tyre on Johnny's car.
David, goes back to what you said at the top of the show, the Mugello test when Schumacher was 60 seconds over a race distance faster than he had done before, and he is so much closer
and
here.
He needed to be 65.
65, well, that was close.
No, I say he needed to be 65.
Right.
He
right
lost by
pace.
64 in Brazil, so But it's obviously this, the season has certainly picked up some momentum. As Sam said yesterday, we didn't want to be too premature. He said Goodyear's back. It certainly looks as if they are back. That still must be somewhat of an uncertain number for them as to how long these new fronts, which they've only got one compound here, will last. I think they've been lucky because the temperature's been lower than we would have expected it to be down here.
I think the light's gone. I think the brake light that dangled off the back of Schumacher's car has fallen off. Is that illegal?
Probably.
Can they ban him for that?
Probably.
Still 18.5 seconds as you go on board with Esteban Tuero. Schumacher is moving into the zone that could make things interesting. Ford V10 engine. Lacey comes in. Stop number 2. So Villeneuve will now stay out. I believe he's on one stop. That was good.
Good stuff.
Oh, sensational.
Mind you, remember, he didn't have much fuel to put in. No. So Michael Schumacher must be thinking of making a pit stop pretty soon. He doesn't have enough of a gap, though, over Mika Häkkinen.
If he stops and drops behind and comes out with fresh rubber, he will be in a position to attack Häkkinen in the closing laps of the race. Could be incredibly dramatic.
Wow, it's 19 seconds. So Schumacher continues to pull away. He's a light fuel load. However, he has worn tires. He was 0.6 of a second quicker on that last lap.
And he's got to catch up with all this traffic, which is all racing amongst itself. One of those is David Coulthard in there. He is not going to let him by in a hurry. So, coming up to a very critical traffic mass now. And is he going to be able to get through?
He's within one lap of the time he pitted the last time. Lap 28, multiply that by 2, it's 52. Now that would make it lap 56. So Schumacher has a decision to make here. Will he catch the traffic and slow himself down, or should he jump to the pit lane earlier than he might have planned?
Well, of course, he won't want to stop too early because then he's going to have to put more fuel than he would like to make a really hard run at the end.
Stayed out, 19 seconds. That was the last lap. Eddie Irvine, clear, well clear of Alexander Wurz. But if Eddie Irvine has to make another stop, Alexander Wurz becomes a factor. Good, clean run for Alexander Wurz. Running behind David Coulthard and behind Jacques Villeneuve as the race leader comes up to lap. All three of them. Wow. Lapping Villeneuve again.
Who would have thought in Brazil that we'd see a Ferrari lap David Coulthard at the very next race?
This is impressive. He is now 20 seconds clear of Mika Häkkinen. He is almost a second a lap faster. There it is there, 28.5 versus 29.2.
But he is now catching up with this fiercely battling group. And nobody in that group's going to let him through.
This could be trouble.
Here they are.
They're going to bring him in early. That sure looks like they're going to bring him in early.
Boy, this is going to hurt him coming in at all.
The race may unfold right here. Michael Schumacher will get caught in traffic if he doesn't peel off to the pit lane. That will lose him a huge amount of time. Does he peel off? We're on board with David Coulthard, and there he goes. Okay, the race unfolds right now. He has to get a lightning fast pit stop, and then we watch where Mika Häkkinen is. Okay, boys, just enough. It'll be a short one. Fuel's done. 8.1. Wasn't that short?
Wasn't that short, no. I was thinking that was going to be about a 6.5 one.
Now, there's a pit stop. Speed. Who's this? Looks like Mika Häkkinen. Where is he? Mika Häkkinen is behind Michael Schumacher. He is behind Michael Schumacher.
Boy, that seems... Well, I mean, that couldn't have worked out better for Schumacher.
There he is there.
That seems hard to believe that he didn't get by him on that stop. But it was a quickish stop, and of course, Michael Schumacher cranked that gap up to 20 seconds.
Well, well, well. Can you believe this?
And gentlemen, it shows you that on this particular track, we're going into the pits, shortcuts a whole run down to the hairpin, that you can get away with these pit stops.
And right at the top of the show, we dealt with this aspect of this particular racetrack. It is a big advantage when you cut off that last low corner.
David Coulthard off the track.
What is poor old DC doing? Oh, he hit him!
Contact with Villeneuve.
He hit him. David Coulthard obviously hit Jacques Villeneuve.
David Coulthard not having a good day at all. Jacques Villeneuve won't be liking that.
Well, well, well. David Coulthard again makes contact, and he gets away with it this time. I don't see any more damage on the car. Jacques Villeneuve will be furious. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Well, I'm not sure who made contact with who there.
Yes, it was Villeneuve.
Looks like Villeneuve came down the inside and made contact with David Coulthard.
So those boys have swapped positions time and time again here.
Now Schumacher got around that cross there in pretty short order, so now he's got that cross between himself and Mika Häkkinen. But this is going to be an incredible battle with just 18 laps left of racing.
So it's Frank Williams who won't be that impressed.
No, Frank Williams won't be the least bit impressed.
He doesn't like mistakes like that, but forget all that because this is now unfolding into a huge fight. This is the fight of the year here. Michael Schumacher just pulled off the strategy absolutely perfectly, and Mika Häkkinen has a fight on his hands.
Oh, there
Whoa.
you see, great.
No question, he was hit. You saw how suddenly that car got away from David Coulthard. What a fall from grace from Jacques Villeneuve.
Absolutely. Drop-kicked David Coulthard into touch. Coulthard got away with it, we think. But here's the fight here, 2.7 seconds.
Wow, with 17 laps left, and he's catching up too.
Mika, they should be on about the same amount of fuel. Ferrari didn't need to put extra fuel in this car. The fuel it should be, if measured properly by the team, about the same. Schumacher has fresher tires.
Mika Häkkinen has a 3-race winning streak on the line.
And if he made it 4, he would join some very, very distinguished company indeed.
He pulled away a second on that lap.
Oh, Michael. Fresh, wide, front-tired Goodyear car there. Beginning to make a real fight of this. This looks good for Ferrari and for Schumacher.
Good for Goodyear too. I mean,
for Goodyear.
how much of the McLaren superiority this year has in fact been the tyres? Here's Eddie Irvine coming in for his last set of new Goodyears.
Alexander Wurz will now play a role here because he will move up maybe into a podium position as Eddie Irvine
Good stop.
has a good stop. Faster than Schumacher's.
So where's Wurz?
Alexander Wurz probably.
There he is.
No, there he is.
So
Eddie
both
Irvine.
Ferraris are now under attack by Bridgestone Shop.
All the pit stops are now over. And it's a straight fight between Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen. And it will be good from here to the end. We'll be right here with them. Welcome back to Speed Vision's live coverage of the Grand Prix of Argentina. And Michael Schumacher is increasing his lead over Mika Häkkinen. Eddie Irvine has hung on to third place with the Ferraris as regards the Manufacturers' Championship, having a stellar day.
Well, they needed, of course, after the first two races, although Michael Schumacher had a brilliant race in Brazil with what he had, but this new Goodyear tyre seems to have made the Ferrari come to life. The D-Series engine seems to be reliable. Of course, obviously at this stage of the game, we don't want to start talking about podiums and wins and this sort of thing, but he pulled out, he's doubled the lead over Mika Häkkinen in the last 3 laps. It's still only 6 seconds, but it's obviously better than 2.5.
And Mika Häkkinen, towards the end of the last run, before Michael made the pit stop, didn't seem to have enough to challenge the outright speed of Schumacher. So Schumacher earlier, David, didn't seem to have the speed to match the McLaren. Now it's changed around.
Well, of course, right at the beginning, Michael Schumacher seemed to have all the speed that he needed, but then in that middle bit, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mika Hakkinen seemed to come on strong. They let the car run out of fuel and went for the one-stop strategy, which seemed to really play into their hands.
Fisichella behind the trio of cars here. That's Alesi. Barrichello, Alesi hanging on, has had a reasonably good day.
It's one of the Tyrrells there.
At the beginning of the season, Ferrari said, we must win this year. And they were just devastated by the outcome of the first two races.
Takagi gets it all sideways and wrong into the gravel trap. How did he get out of that gravel trap?
I don't know.
It's supposed to bury the cars axle deep. Yet he just seemed to have driven across the top of it.
They're looking at new types of gravel for these gravel
Alexander
tracks.
Wirtz is catching up with Eddie Irvine.
Gap increases at the front. Now it's over 7 seconds. It's over 7 seconds.
I don't think at this stage that Mika Hakkinen will be playing it cool for points, do you?
I don't know.
I would think he wants that win.
1.6 seconds is the gap here. It was 2.4 just on the last lap. So Alexander Wirtz gets ever closer to Eddie Irvine, who's had one of his better days. He's been mistake-free most of the afternoon, Eddie Irvine. But he's going to see that blue Benetton loom in his mirrors very, very short and very big.
And remember Wirtz's great pass of Frentzen in Brazil. So we know he can do it.
I don't think Eddie Irvine's going to give up that third place for Ferrari without a hell of a struggle.
There's the battle.
Oh, look at this. He gets closer. He gets closer. This is the fight right here. David, he gobbled him up along the last two laps.
Sure did.
Well, this is the difference perhaps between tires, between a Bridgestone and a Goodyear at this point in the race. The Goodyear's giving up a little perhaps, but on Michael Schumacher's car, they do not seem to be giving up in relationship to the Bridgestones on Hakkinen's.
There's the telltale, almost a second a lap faster than Eddie Irvine on that last lap. But I'm surprised he just gobbled up that advantage so quickly. And look, in the braking zone, David, again.
Boy, he's quick in braking and onto the throttle, isn't he?
And that turn-in, the Benetton on the Bridgestone tire is very impressive.
Look at how stable it looks compared to the Ferrari. Don't you agree, gentlemen?
Which, of course, is what we've been noticing in the McLaren all year. 2 weeks ago at Brazil, we had those great head-on shots. The McLaren looked so stable, everything else looked so unstable. And the same applies with these two cars. The Ferrari looks a lot more difficult to drive than the Benetton.
Alexander Wirtz chases. He's the heaviest driver in Formula One. They still weigh the drivers before the start of the season and at the end of every race. And this man here, all 6 foot something of him, is the heaviest.
But luckily, they ballast, they take that into account in the total weight allowed in the car.
So Magnussen, who's the lightest, has no advantage.
12 laps to go, a 9-second lead for Michael Schumacher.
Last year, Eddie Irvine was the one that put the pressure on the leader.
Whoa.
Now Eddie Irvine's the one that's being pressured. He is being pressurized here. Oh, he hit him. He hit him.
Well, Eddie Irvine did what David Coulthard did earlier. He made a mistake, he got wide, and then he slammed the door on Wirtz when Wirtz was already in it.
Yikes.
These are tough cars. Wirtz may have survived that.
Those boys were lucky to get away with that.
They were lucky to get away with that.
I'm not sure if Wirtz has. We're not sure whether he may have a misaligned front end.
Alexander Wirtz made a big attack move there.
He wants that podium. He's been on a podium.
You can see again, over a second a lap faster.
He was third at Silverstone last year. He was fourth in the last race here.
Here it is again. David, do they actually touch here?
They go down the inside. I'm I mean, he's well and truly inside.
Yes, he does.
He touches him all right.
He does hit him. They were very, very lucky to get away with that move there, those two boys. Very lucky. Eddie Irvine seemed to break a tad bit too late and just opened the door.
He opened the door and it got a little bit loose.
Yes, he
Swung
did.
wide, got onto the marbles. Wirtz tried to go down the inside, then Eddie gathered himself up and slammed the door in.
Yeah, that was close quarters right there, boys.
Do you think Wirtz has a kind of moral advantage in his next attempt to pass? Do you think Eddie will have to leave a little more room?
He doesn't need a moral advantage. He has a mechanical advantage. This car is faster. This car at this stage is faster. Look
at the way he goes over the curves.
Not close enough. Not close enough down the end of this straight. He's very good in the tight, twisty sections.
Which, of course, is where you can't get by. The lead, of course, gone up now to 10 seconds, just over 10 seconds for Schumacher.
Wow. It'll be interesting to see in the post-race press conference what happened to Mika Häkkinen, because Michael Schumacher did not have the speed overall early in the race. But by golly, I tell you what, he has it now. He is impressive. Gearbox skid blocks are still on the car. It's the sparks you see.
I mean, the fact has to be faced that Michael Schumacher is just one of those drivers that comes along every couple of decades. I mean, he is basically in a league of his own in Formula One or probably in any other form of racing at the moment. He is quite extraordinary.
Has to be a little bit careful trying to pass. Barrichello here.
Derek, does a performance like this make you forget Jerez in Schumacher's case?
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. Everybody in Italy, particularly when they see this, they say, despite Jerez, he's still the man.
I thought that Jerez was totally overrated anyway. Whoa! Is that the same incident?
Yikes, yes. So you can clearly see the contact was quite significant. Eddie Irvine and Wirtz very, very fortunate to get away from that, get away with that.
That's as good as sprint car racing.
Wow, look at those 29s he's rattling off at this stage of the race.
Second a lap faster than Eddie Irvine. Second a lap faster.
Boy, these cars are tough. They've been at it for over an hour and a half, bouncing, weaving, banging those shifts.
Here's Mika. Loses more time, has to be really, really careful as he passes Tuero. Really, really careful. I mean, the challenge is over here. Mika Häkkinen doesn't have anything left. Mika Häkkinen, one of the most gifted drivers for sheer outright speed, does not enjoy the reputation of being the best technical driver, but few people doubt his ability over that one single lap. And in a chase like this, David, he's usually pretty good.
He is indeed. Adrian Newey, his engineer, said that his engineering capabilities leave him a bit short, but he said he is the most gifted driver, as you just mentioned, and has got the ability. A lot of drivers think he can be quicker on a single lap than Michael Schumacher. Personally, I somewhat doubt that, but he is obviously very, very quick and is incredibly dedicated to winning the World Championship this year.
Where's Eddie? Where's Eddie?
Behind. The pass. Wirtz is by into third and a spot on the podium.
So he finally forces the issue.
Oh, it's close.
Eddie Irvine he's really close.
Boy, he caught up a big bunch there, Eddie.
But Alexander Wirtz at this stage does have a faster car than Eddie Irvine.
It's
so now you'll just see him.
there, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll see him pull away. Look at this already. Less than a lap and he begins to pull away.
Never lifted. It looked pretty tight to me, too.
We lifted here.
Yeah, I lifted for sure. I thought his throttle must be stuck.
Ferrari won't like that because of the Constructors' Championship.
No.
But the only good thing for Ferrari is there's no Williams up there taking points away from them.
Their battle is with McLaren this year for sure.
David Coulthard still mired in a fight. 5th, 6th and 7th place here. David Coulthard, the pole man. Impressive all weekend here. Not even has a point yet. Oh, Irvine makes a mistake.
See, Irvine goes wide again. That's exactly where David Coulthard went wide this morning, or this afternoon, when Schumacher had contact with him.
That's the difference between Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine. Eddie Irvine this weekend on the different segments of time was actually faster than Schumacher on segment number 1, was within 200ths of a second of him on segment number 2, but Schumacher was always quicker on the 3rd segment, but consistency-wise, Eddie could never put it all together lap after lap like Schumacher can.
That, of course, is just what engineers look for, that kind of analysis, because raw speed is not enough unless you can put it all together. That was your analysis, Derek, of the qualifying runs.
And David Coulthard seems to be one of those drivers that has a lot of trouble in actually committing himself and making passes. I mean, I'm sure that McLaren should be able to whistle by that car of Fisichella's, but he just can't put it together to get himself in a position to nail him.
But he has to be gun-shy. He has to be gun-shy
He
now.
may be a little bit down on performance, because I'm sure it is missing that barge board.
There it is.
There he goes.
Eddie leaves
locking him
it
up
too
there.
late in braking and gets off onto the gray stuff.
Well, you can't make it easier than locking up the front brake and opening that door wide, 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 and away Wirtz goes.
And of course, you can see all the rubber lying around on the track when you get wide like that, and you lock it up and you get in wide. I mean, you're in big trouble, because now you're out on those big marbles.
It is now 13 seconds at the head of the field. Mika Häkkinen 13 seconds behind Michael Schumacher. Now, in our continuing effort to bring you the most accurate, in-depth analysis, we should mention that Speed Vision has 3 of the world's preeminent motorsports journalists. Wirtz is off the road. Well, well, well.
There goes Irvine by.
What a mistake.
Oh, he was trying to lap those guys and spun it.
What a mistake. He is not mistake-prone, but he worked so hard to get on the podium, and he hands it back to our Eddie.
How frustrating and
Not enough
disappointing
time for him to run Eddie down again.
No.
Great day.
Did he do that all by himself, or did
No,
he
I
get
think
in
he
tour
was
with
lapping
somebody
those
else?
traffic. He was lapping that traffic, wasn't he?
Anyhow, I was about to tell you that on site here we have 3 of the world's preeminent motorsports journalists. Doug Nye, Maurice Hamilton and Alan Henry. So a good bit of our information comes from those boys. And look at this here. Tire smoke everywhere. This is Alexander Wirtz's incident, I believe.
Oh, I guess he did do it all on his own.
Yeah, he did it by himself.
Here's Esteban Tuero. He is up to the axles, as you mentioned earlier.
He has her buried. He has her buried, but he lost the wing on the way. Did it fall off, or did somebody break it off?
Oh, broke it off by the look of things.
He lost it under braking. We do have an onboard camera here, so we may get to see what happened here. You have to put the steering wheel back on. Oh, yeah. He plows it into the guardrail. Probably right in front of his mother and his brother. This is the end of the front straight, which is the most unusual place to throw something at the wall.
Wow, and that car's in a dangerous position too now.
Coulthard misses the
goes
turn
wide
point.
again.
Coulthard has reached that point with his tires that we saw Häkkinen in just before Häkkinen's
Oh,
pit.
Schumacher, it's raining.
Schumacher's off.
It's raining. Michael Schumacher, can he get back on? Oh, he goes down the escape road, goes back onto the racetrack. Where is Mika? Where is Mika Häkkinen?
Good Lord.
There's
There's Mika.
Woo. That could explain Wirtz's
So
off,
that's
too.
why they're all spinning then, because it's raining.
There it is on the lens of the camera.
Well, 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 what a turn up there. Michael Schumacher drives the thing way off the racetrack. Here he is. Now, David, the unusual thing here, he can't turn the car. He has to go straight to lose the speed.
And he keeps it going across the gravel trap. He knows that bit of tarmac's there, that tarmac Adam. He gets it. Good Lord alive.
David, remember Monaco and Magny-Cours last year? Schumacher won both those races after excursions very much like that one.
Michael Schumacher opened the door wide for Mika Häkkinen. Mika wasn't able to take advantage of it. That's an incident we believe caused by the rain down the end of that first lap, first front straight. Look at this. The right front is locked. It is raining on the front straight. You can barely see it. And Michael Schumacher must have his heart in his mouth right now thinking, I've thrown the whole thing away. Talk about dodging a bullet. Wow. Look what he's doing. He's braking on the inside line of the racetrack. What is theoretically the dirty line. He's braking down the inside for more grip. It has gone greasy and damp and wet here. 4 more laps to go. Well. They are running about 10 seconds a lap slower at this point than they were just 5 laps earlier. Back up to 11 seconds again, so Mika Häkkinen has just as much trouble staying on the racetrack as Michael Schumacher has. Well, well, well.
Good. Heavens above. What a turn-up.
Eddie Irvine might win this. Schumacher is a master of the wet weather conditions. Fisichella gets away with it, we believe. Fisichella is now in front of Michael Schumacher, I believe. Coulthard is off the road.
Once again.
Look at the rain. Look at the rain on the camera lens. Oh. It is very greasy and it's getting worse.
Whoa, look at the way the thing under power there. Just no grip at all.
And it's too late to make a stop for any other tire. You're committed with the race so near the end.
Yeah, 4 laps.
3.
So David Coulthard might get a point here if somebody else throws this thing off the road. Michael Schumacher is always in control, usually, of these situations. A most unusual mistake. Very greasy racetrack. This surface, David, historically has been low friction, very little grip even in the dry.
Absolutely. Just a light patina of rain on that obviously makes it just like a skating rink. But what an incredibly lucky escape for Michael Schumacher to go right through the gravel track, find a little service road and get back and still not lose the position.
5 seconds now off the pace, 5 seconds slower than earlier. Schumacher's line is very interesting. Coulthard under braking, he's in the grass. Whew. Did he get hit? Probably not. When these drivers watch the video, one of the first things they're going to watch is Michael Schumacher's braking line for a lot of these corners. He has changed his line dramatically.
Mika Häkkinen has driven, of the top contenders, the steadiest race by far.
Well, of course, those marbles that are so bad in the dry, in the wet, of course, they suddenly start to add friction. So if you can run into marbles in the wet, they actually help.
Well, this might break a lot of streaks. Mika Häkkinen's win streak, McLaren's 1-2 finishing streak, and Ferrari get back on the map if Michael Schumacher can just carry this thing home. David Coulthard is still in 6th place. Remember, they got by Alexander Wurz when he got himself in trouble. So Coulthard is in the shout here to stay in a points-paying position, P6. That's Fisichella right ahead of Michael Schumacher.
Fisichella getting on a pretty good pace at the moment, holding Schumacher off.
P7 for Fisichella. He is on the tail end of that lead lap.
Huge day so far for Ferrari.
It's been an interesting race because of how it unfolded. Schumacher was not quick raw speed-wise at the start of the race versus the McLarens. Pit strategy played against Michael Schumacher first, then played into his hand, and then his sheer raw speed came out and was ahead and faster than the McLarens.
And then finally, Derek, his luck. because he did make a mistake and was able to bail it out, just as he was twice last year.
And of course, he got hit by David Coulthard and didn't do any damage either.
Yeah.
It looked like a big mistake. I assure you it was probably a small mistake. It was magnified by the...
well, where it happened.
By where, exactly, by the surface, the rain, and where it happened.
Could have so easily got mired in that gravel.
It's a circumstance of running every single lap absolutely at the limit.
Let me just tell you, those gravel traps here in Argentina are absolutely useless. He should have been buried right there in that gravel trap. One more lap to go for Michael Schumacher. Keep it together for one more lap.
Well, I don't expect he'll be taking any major risks on this. The crowd here, obviously very pro-Ferrari by the look of all those flags.
Ferrari are so popular, every stop the Formula One World Championship goes to, those Ferrari flags are everywhere, and they love Michael Schumacher, despite the Jerez incident. And will love him even more now. What a turner for the books this has been, because McLaren was expected to be just as dominant. Remember, the races are still in South America. Before they go back to Europe, teams do not normally get a chance to test and make up that deficit.
The promotion team at Imola, which is our next stop here on Speed Vision in a couple of weeks live, the promotion guys in Imola will be absolutely beside themselves, and their ticket sales tomorrow will just lurch up, I should think.
So the mighty McLaren steamroller doesn't look so mighty here in Argentina, and I will tell you, the victory rostrum will be mighty with Schumacher. The man who shows more emotion, certainly more than Mika Hakkinen, on the victory rostrum will be just delighted.
Absolutely, he will be delighted.
This was a great demonstration from the team and particularly from Michael Schumacher. One more corner to go. Down to Horquilla. This is corner Horquilla. And Stroker home from here. What a great run. What a great demonstration. You deserve it all, boys. Wave those flags.
6 months since Jerez and that black day, Michael Schumacher totally back on top in this sport.
That's it. Great to see it. Ferrari, when they win a Formula One World Championship race, the whole world knows. Great to see Michael Schumacher so elated. He's won so many races, and it still means so much to him. Looks like Germany. Looks like Germany. The press box has erupted. The press center at Argentina has erupted in a round of applause. Well, well, well. Ron Dennis, the domination he has built. Mika waves. That's about as strong a wave as he gives even when he wins. But the West McLarens have been beaten and roll on the European races. This Formula One season could get spectacular from here on in.
About it. Those Goodyear tyres have made a huge difference to the Williams and to the Ferrari performance. And I feel there's a lot more to come yet, because they'll be able to work that bigger tyre in yet. They'll find a good bit more time, I'm sure. And of course, Ferrari have got their new exhaust system that's coming for Imola. And this looks like it's going to be a huge fight all through the year. McLaren getting off to a great start with those 2-1-2s. But look at the way that Michael Schumacher absolutely dominated this race.
And this is the way to celebrate. Customary for Michael Schumacher. Now watch this. There you go. He loves it. He loves it.
And he'll look happy on the podium too, like he always does.
Jean Todt, the team director, sporting director, will be there with him. Rory Byrne and Ross Brawn, as we watch Esteban Tiero, didn't finish his home race, got in trouble, was one of the first drivers to crash when that rain came down.
And he got caught out by the rain big time, didn't he? That was obviously a tremendous shock for everybody.
Oh, that was good. So many people did not want to see the McLaren domination, the 1-2 continue on. And Schumacher beats everybody. We will be back with all the post-race celebrations. We will be on the victory rostrum with Michael Schumacher. Then we will join him down at the press conference, and it should be lively. Well, the two boys at Ferrari congratulate each other. Eddie Irvine is on the podium also. He will be delighted with his performance. But Michael Schumacher, what a day for him. Another day that will go down in the history of his career. And this is what we like to see. This man smiles. He shows more emotion than any other driver in Formula One, and this is what we want to see. The fight now on the championship, David, may end up being wide open.
Boy, it certainly will have opened it up significantly since the last two races. We're moving into Europe now. Goodyear certainly have made a huge effort to improve that tyre. They've got a bigger tyre. It's obviously a better tyre. The Bridgestone dominance looks like it's certainly in danger of not being so dominant. And what with the Ferraris first and third, a tremendously good omen for the opening of the European season. The McLaren's right in there, but David Coulthard made just too many mistakes today himself.
Too many mistakes. He was embroiled in battles that he really didn't need to be embroiled in. And he did it all himself. He led the race, made a critical mistake, and Michael Schumacher opened the door, hit him a smack, and that was it. Sayonara. We never heard from David Coulthard very much for the rest of the day. But this will be good because Michael Schumacher is good value. When he gets onto the podium here, he enjoys the champagne and enjoys sharing the spoils of victory with his team members who are all right down below him to cheer the man who they still believe could be world champion.
He is the best value, there's no doubt about it. Mika Hakkinen, regrettably, is possibly the worst interview and the worst guy on the podium. Just doesn't look like he's enjoying it at all. Michael Schumacher certainly looks like he really enjoys his wins, as most drivers should do.
Hugely popular Formula One is here in Argentina. Carlos Reutemann, of course, was a hero for so many years. He's here this weekend. He made 9 attempts to win this race and to give the local home crowd something to cheer about. His best ever was second in 79 and again in 81 when he drove for Williams. Could have become world champion in 81. Just missed out with some critical poor decisions. But he is here to cheer on the Ferrari team. Drove a Ferrari, David, last year here as a guest and was actually quite impressive.
Pretty briskly too, I believe, yeah.
Carlos Reutemann. The Ferrari flags are sold everywhere. They are sold in their hundreds and thousands everywhere. There's Jean Todt, and there is the man.
Second place, Mika Hakkinen. Michael Schumacher, Eder Irvine ya están. También David Coulthard. The trophy will be presented to him by...
Eddie Irvine didn't look too impressed there. Sat there, stoic face. I would have thought he had a fairly good weekend.
I said he had a very good weekend, but he was a little bit lucky at the end there where Alexander Wirtz went off, but look at Michael Schumacher, really, really happy to be up there. The two national anthems there, of course, German for Michael and, of course, the Italian for the constructor.
The second place driver. To the third place driver, the trophy presented by Dr. Carlos Vaquer, the president of the...
What is missing, of course, from the podium is a driver from the Williams team. They have been victorious here ever since they came back to Argentina in 1995. Every race has been won by Williams.
Noticeable very much by their absence, and of course they in the end ended up with a terrible day. Heinz-Harald Frentzen making a long pit stop, then having a stop and go for going too fast in the pit lane. And, of course, Villeneuve punting himself out when he ran into the back of David Coulthard. David Coulthard had a very, very adventurous afternoon. Hit, what, twice, three times, and spun off at least once.
No points for the Williams team here, the defending constructors champion.
Come on, Michael.
Here comes the champagne. Yeah, he's after the top, man. He's after the top brass. He's after Jean Todt.
Oh, Michael, please. What a waste of good champagne.
He's blinded Jean Todt, of course.
Eddie Irvine comes over and adds his piece. But that is well deserved.
Oh, no, look at that.
Champagne from Michael Schumacher, who wants to share the enjoyment here with Jean Todt, the man who brought Schumacher to Ferrari, the man who has spent a fortune trying to make this team successful. They go from here down to the press conference, and we will be right there with them. It will be fascinating to hear what Schumacher has to say, but maybe more so what Mika Häkkinen has to say on the dominance of the McLaren that is now over.
He again ran very wide in that moment. I then went inside, same like with Mika, but David seemed to close the door and no room to go, and I didn't feel like I wanted to lift off because I felt I had the momentum going. He pushed me wide already in Australia. I had no chance. This time I had the chance and I took it, and it ended well for me. But my car was slightly damaged after that. My toe was out a bit, which didn't make it very nice to drive, but obviously it was enough.
Now, on the second pit stop, were you confident that you were going to come out ahead of Mika?
We had enough gap to do it. It just was the question whether the pit stop goes right or not, and luckily it went right. The boys did a great job. There was obviously a lot of pressure on them in this moment, and it was enough to get in front. The crucial moments was these last 4 or 5 laps where I had to pull the gap to make my extra pit stop.
Towards the end, conditions seemed to be a bit tricky. What happened towards the end with your little moment there?
There's a very, as we saw during the practice, loads of cars went off in the rain, and it just started to drizzle, and there's just a patch of very shiny bit, and that was wet, and I just caught that and lost the rear end and just went straight on. I saw cars this morning stuck there, so I didn't even try to brake. I just went straight through to come back on the other end and back on the circuit.
Well done, Michael. Well, Mika, you had a very consistent weekend. You must be pleased with your second position.
Yes, I am, end of the day. I mean, it probably is the best what I can really hope